even when I'm down. Got my head in the clouds and my feet on the ground. I got big dreams. Yeah, we got big dreams here at the Genius Lab. Welcome to the GeniusLab Podcast, where we help you realize your greatness. This is Toby Christensen, your self-empowerment trainer. And, today we're going to talk about how to turn a bad decision into a good lesson. And this is in one of the chapters of my new book, Release Your Shit and Reclaim Your Power. And, we're in a constant state of ebb and flow. Right? Things, we learn things every day that change and alter and modify our viewpoints and perceptions. And, we might make a decision one day based on the information that we have, and then the next day we get new information that changes the way that we might respond to a situation that happened the day before. I mean, that's how fluid our world is, and we live in such an information-heavy society that, holy shit, in an hour on Facebook and Instagram, you can learn a thousand things. And so what one person says might be a particular thing, 400 other people might say differently, and you get a chance to evaluate and learn and put a bunch of information together and then figure out where you stand on it, because we make decisions based on our current knowledge, right? So as we grow and evolve, we create different perceptions. And this is one of the beautiful things about humanity and about, if we pull our head out of our ass and quit being so rigid, right? I mean, I have friends that well, God says it, I believe it, or the Bible says it, I believe it, that does it. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, pull your head out of your ass and read that thing. This doesn't make any sense at all. And but no, they just will not move from their particular judgmental base. Okay, if you're one of those people, this podcast is not for you. If you evolve, if you move, if you are in the flow, if you have the humility to actually fucking learn something, right? Then you're in the exact right place. So what, pardon me. So, a lot of times we make decisions based on our either our knowledge at the time or our occurring impulses. Okay. One of the things about buying a car is that, the great salesmen always say people don't buy on facts. They buy from emotion. And that's really true. Okay. If you want this thing and you're really attached to it, you're going to make the decision, good, bad, or otherwise. And trust me, I have made some really bad decisions buying cars I shouldn't have because they were so cool and riding and driving in them was so cool. And I could just see myself and I needed it. And then not very long later when I'm making the payments on it, or when it breaks down, or when it goes to the mechanic and it's how much for an oil change? Holy shit. Well, we learn our lesson. So, and then there's other kinds of decisions that we make. There's big deals and there's little deals, and a car can be a big or a little deal. It doesn't have any moral implications. But what about on that business trip? You have a couple too many cocktails, and that babe at the bar looks really, really gotta have it. And she's good to go. And then a week later, you're getting these terrorism texts from her. And then you get the I'm pregnant scare. And then your wife finds out, and then all of a sudden you're like, what the fuck was I thinking? It seemed so good at the time. Right? So one of the things about making big deal decisions is we need to think long term. Sorry, I'm just having a little tea here. Enjoying my time with you. Yeah, so big deals are if you're going to sleep with someone, you really want to think this through, long term, what's going on. And I, not even if you're married or not married, I'm just saying at any time, because you're making a significant connection with somebody. And if your intention is different than their intention, then there could be a problem. If you just want to get laid and they want to fall in love, big problems.
Okay. And so, it's good to be clear. It's good to think long term. It's good to go, okay, a week from now, how am I going to feel about this decision? A month from now, how am I going to feel? And is it in a year from now, is it going to make any difference? Depending on what you do and who you do it with, it could make a huge difference. Then there's little deals, okay? Like eating your third donut or maple bar. Okay, it tasted so good going down, and then all of a sudden you have no energy. You feel like shit. You're going into cold sweats because you're going into a sugar-induced coma, and then you've chugged 8 cups of coffee while you've been eating your donuts. So between the caffeine and the sugar, you're about ready to have a heart attack. You don't have a heart attack. You just feel like shit. Okay. So that's like a little deal. So if you make an error on eating too many donuts or that second hamburger that you really shouldn't have, that's like the consequences are not very, don't have very high implication, right? Other decisions do. If you want to go out and buy $100,000 car and you don't have any money, you're going to have a big freaking payment, right? So you better figure something out. And there will be ramifications to it. Quitting your job, okay? Like, have you ever quit your job and you have this boss that you absolutely hate and you go in and you just read him the riot act? You greedy motherfucker, you took advantage of me. I'm so pissed off now. I'm finally working with a good company that's going to actually pay me and appreciate me. And then you find out a month later that they have hired that boss to run your division. Oopsie. Sometimes saying how you feel at a particular moment is not a very good idea and can have long-term ramifications. So if you're going to stay in that same industry and you are just going to another company, it's probably not a good idea to burn bridges because you never know. People move around, right? And so think about things that you've done in the past. And the whole key here is to take a bad decision and make it a good lesson, okay? The idea is not to beat yourself up because you opened your mouth or you made a bad decision on dating someone or whatever it was. It's not about acknowledging good or bad, right or wrong. It's like, how do you make it a lesson instead of beat yourself up with it constantly? Okay. We all have regrets. We all have errors. I remember one time in life going, I have no regrets. I really believed that. I really, really believed it. And now 10, 15 years later, you know what? I do have some regrets. I have like quite a few of them actually. When I look at how my life could be better had I done things differently, I'm like, okay, got it. So here's another opportunity. I can beat the shit out of myself because I didn't plan very well on several occasions, several different fronts. Or I can go, wow, let's not keep doing that. Let's change our behavior. Let's do something differently. So look at your regrets, look at your errors. Look at the things that you want to change in your life. So how do you make a bad decision with regrets a positive lesson? Okay. So I have two really important ways to do it. And what's really interesting is they are the title of my book. First of all, you got to release your shit. The important thing about if you're going to get over something and if you're going to change your behavior, the way you look at things and the way you approach things, the first thing you got to do is get rid of the shit. Regret, self-pity, self-accusation, beating yourself up, all that shit just doesn't serve anybody. It doesn't do anything. I remember watching the Da Vinci Code and there was a Catholic priest he was some kind of a monk and he had this really sharp metal chain around his leg and he would pull it and it would cause massive pain. So if he had a lustful thought or was going to sin in his mind, he would pull that thing and the pain would pull his mind away from the lust or the bad thing he was going to do. I'm like, man, that's some fucked up shit right there. So let's just go through this because it's really not that tough. But the bottom line is, if you're going to make a bad decision a good lesson, you got to release your shit. You can't keep hanging on to the mistake and beat yourself up for it. I don't care what it is. Okay. And trust me, in the thousands of sessions that I've done, I've probably dealt with whatever your problem is. I mean, I've literally had people go, I have committed unpardonable sins and I am completely guilty and horrible, blah, 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 blah. And they tell me and I go, okay, now tell me the one that's really bad. Because again, remember I said in the very beginning, we all have a certain perceptions. And we make our decisions based on our perceptions. And so if your perception at a given time is that a certain thing is an unpardonable sin and horrible and rotten, and you're just the evilest person by doing it, and then you get a different perspective. I looked at one guy that said that. I said, I thought you mass murdered 100 kids in a daycare or something. The way that you're beating yourself up for it, it just seems a lot bigger than what you just told me. So the first thing is just take responsibility for your shit. Okay, I did it. I made the choice. I made the decision. I bought the car, signed the contract, took the girl to my hotel room, whatever it was. I own it. And then you look at what is the real problem. Well, sometimes the real problem is, you got the girl pregnant and you got a baby you got to deal with. Sometimes it's you've got a big fucking payment and you either need to sell your car or get a new job. So you got to look at, you own it, and then is there a way to fix it? So what can I do if this is broken or if I have done this bad thing? How can I fix it? If I tell my boss to fuck off and now he's my boss, how do I fix it? Okay. Find something, his favorite bottle of scotch, and make sure you take it to him with a big apology. So how do I fix it? And then do I need to come clean about anything? So owning it is one thing. And then do I need to come clean? In other words, do I need to make an apology? Do I need to, and it's kind of part of the fixing thing, but it's not necessarily always something that's available. If you need to clean up your side of the street, then go do it. And it can be, eating crow, humble pie, whatever you call it. It can suck. But the deal is once you do it, it's done. It's clean. It's over. Sometimes the apology that you owe is yourself. Okay? Sometimes you got to forgive yourself for being a dumbass. You just got to go, God, I was drunk, I was stupid, and I'm not ever going to do it again. Sometimes it's like, I got so wrapped up in my ego that I had to have this Porsche instead of a Buick. And, I got to drive it for a month and now I have to file bankruptcy. You just own it, forgive yourself and move on. So initiate forgiveness first to yourself and then to others. Like maybe somebody propagated it. The thing is, it takes two to tango. So if you got in a fight with somebody, guess what? They're just as guilty as you are because they could have always walked away. If you hooked up with someone that you shouldn't have, hey, you didn't beat them up and knock them out and carry them into your room. They made an agreement to go with you. So forgive yourself, forgive them, and then the part, that's the part of releasing your shit. Own your responsibility, take responsibility for your own shit. Okay? If there's any way you can fix it, do what you can to fix it. Do what you need to come clean, make an apology. Make an apology to yourself and others. Initiate forgiveness, again, to yourself and others, and then you're clean. Then the important thing is don't just stop there. Reclaim your power. What did you learn from it? Okay? I remember a certain situation that I got myself into. It seemed like such a good idea at the time, and I had so much fun for quite some time. I mean, it wasn't just a flash in the pan. It was a relationship that was ongoing for a considerable period of time, and I had a desired outcome, and they had a desired outcome, and it didn't work. And I was like, fuck, I wasted so much time. I blah, blah, blah. Now I go back and I own my shit. I looked at what was left over and how I could fix it. I came clean. I made my apologies and I initiated forgiveness to myself and others. And then I looked at, like, okay, so what can I learn from this? Because if I don't learn this lesson, I'm going to do it over and over again. So what the fuck, man? So it was great. I sat down and thought of all the things that I learned through going through the pleasure of the fun part of it, and then going through the pain, which was the end of it. How can this lesson help me as I move forward? Well, that was, fucking gold right there. I evaluate and vet situations much more closely now than I used to. How does this knowledge make my life better? Okay. So here's a good one, because, you're like, how does it make it better? Wow. So not being in the situation makes it better. Having the knowledge about the situation is better. There's a lot of ways to add up. One situation, it's like when you start realizing what you learned and how it makes your life better, all of a sudden you're like, as painful as that was, I'm actually really glad I did it, because now I don't have to do it again. And my whole life has changed, and my ability to handle situations that are similar, which will happen over and over again, has changed. So how does it make your life better? What change of perception do you have? Okay. I have a friend that he was very well off at one point in time, made some bad business decisions, and pissed away all his money. He didn't save anything. He invested it all. He went all in and lost it all. So saving money is important to think about long term. And when you don't, it sucks. When you make an investment and you put up more than you have to lose, guess what? It sucks. Instant goal gratification can oftentimes have not helpful results, and it can have long-lasting results as well. And so the thing about reclaiming your power is looking at the benefit of everything that happened as a result of the decisions that you made. And then is your behavior habitual? So is the thing that you did that is creating the pain and giving you the lesson, is it something you do over and over and over again, and something that you can't seem to deal with? When I was in the recovery community helping, it was huge. Like, people would like, I just can't fucking help but do the drug or take the drink. And I could relate. I was sympathetic. So what behavior are you going to change it with? So think about these things. What are you going to continue doing? What are you going to not do? What's your new perspective? And take some time to really focus on how to make bad decisions that have occurred in your life into good lessons. And by all means, my theme, keep looking up. Thanks for being here today.